Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and unsurprisingly, here's Ask Herbert Erpaderp, in which I will A your cues. But first, as pretty much everyone else on YouTube is doing, I'm going to whine about demonetization. Okay, so at the moment it hasn't really affected me, and I don't earn anything like a living from ad revenue, but I do make some money and it's been rather helpful to have that. So far, it's mostly been gaming videos that have been demonetized, and of those, mostly PUBG videos. Not all of them, mind you. They don't get a lot of views, so they don't make a lot of money, but the thing is, that all adds up eventually. Now, they'll never be reviewed, and those tiny little bits of revenue just won't add up at all. Not really a big deal, I suppose. The most annoying and confusing thing to me is the video I uploaded the other day about the lizards I saw in the pet shop. That short clip of a lizard doing lizard things was immediately flagged as not suitable for most advertisers. Really? And it seems the bot responsible for flagging these things is very indecisive. That video was instantly demonetized, then a couple of days later it was remonetized, then demonetized again, and now it's monetized again. And it hasn't been reviewed because, well, it's not eligible for review because it hasn't had 1,000 views. I don't know what the deal is, but it's kind of fucky. I guess I'm rambling a little bit. What I'm trying to get to is I'm expecting my modelling videos are going to be demonetized at any time. They haven't so far, but hey, little plastic tanks are related to war, and we can't have these massive brands associated with war via little plastic tanks now, can we? We'll just ignore the fact that they're perfectly happy to have their ads run on coverage of things like mass shootings. Fucking vultures. It's kind of disappointing that there isn't really a viable alternative to YouTube yet. Okay, so I guess that's enough whining, and whining is pointless, you need to do things. The first thing I did was to disable the YouTube paid subscription option thing. That's a pretty new feature and nobody was using it yet, but now it's not an option. If you are interested in that sort of thing, Patreon is a way better option anyway. Secondly, Twitch. Twitch seems a lot more friendly to gaming, and I would like to stream more frequently on Twitch, so I'm going to put more of an effort into finding the time for that. If that interests you, follow the Twitch link in the description and give me a follow. I have around 40 followers there now, and once I reach 50, I'll be eligible for the affiliate program, which I think might help to make up for the loss of the few dollars from YouTube revenue. It's not quite the same as being a Twitch partner, but viewers will still be able to tip with bits and subscribe and things like that. So if you want to do me a favour, go to Twitch and give me a follow. And of course watch when I'm live and participate in the chat and all of that sort of stuff. That makes it more fun for everyone. Another thing I've been thinking about is merch. I'm not going to go and have a whole load of shirts printed up because that's a pain in the arse I'd rather never have to deal with again. So I'll be using one of the services that prints shirts and mugs and whatever else on demand, like Spreadshirt or something like that. So my question is, do you have any experience with those, and do you have one that you would recommend or suggest that I stay away from? And what kind of things would you be interested in? Shirts, mugs? What kind of objects, and what kind of designs? I was tempted to make a shirt about KV2 turrets or something like that. Suggestions would be appreciated. I need to do a bit more thinking about that, I guess, rather than just rambling into my microphone. So let's get to the questions. Firstly, from Discord, which you should totally join. There was, strangely enough, no KV2 turret related question this week. Ratto said, why did the Germans lose World War II? Because of Hitler. Like anything, there was surely much more than one single reason, but I think the biggest one was Hitler. It is obvious to most people, but he was crazy. Ignoring his generals, making poor decisions like invading Russia, building bigger and bigger tanks, wasting valuable metal and other resources, all adds up to a defeat. Which of course is a good thing. Ducking Tanker said, if you could hug a Tog 2, would you? What a silly question. Of course I would. I mean, I could put my arms on it, that's about as close to a hug as you can give a Tog 2 because it's just so massive, but I would do that and call it a hug. Duncanuva said, Tog 2 or Simpleton tank? I've never heard of a Simpleton tank, but since you're from New Zealand, I'm going to assume you mean the Semple tank, which is a crazy contraption built from a bulldozer and corrugated iron. Google it if you want to see something silly and entertaining. I would definitely choose the Tog 2, just because it has that little bit more charm. Also, there's room for a pool inside, which is always nice. Zeljacko said, "Do you sleep, Herbert Erpaderp? And what did you do with your mice?" "No, I don't sleep because I'm a robot. Beep boop, beep boop, whir. Destroy all humans. I mean, humans are our friends, beep boop." "I'm not sure what you mean about the mice. I still have them. I just don't normally make videos about them. They're not especially easy to film and the area they live in is normally fairly dark. I do still have them though." Zeljacko again said, "What's the best international seller of Zvezda kits, if not just the UK?" Being from Australia, I wouldn't really know which is the best in the UK. All the Zvezda kits I've bought were from the local hobby store. I haven't actually bought any Zvezda kits online, so I have no idea where the best place to get them is. I would be interested to know a good online seller though, so if anyone has any suggestions, be sure to put them in the comment section below. Salika mentions canned teas having no sugar, and asks if I am ready for the 50-degree summer here in good old Queensland, because I am not. I have seen the unsweetened teas in Daiso. In fact, my friend bought one. She didn't especially enjoy it, and myself, I don't really like tea, so without something to make it taste better like sugar, I probably won't buy any tea. It's pretty hard to find good drinks without sugar. And no, I am definitely not looking forward to summer. I never do. It's already well and truly too hot. I think I need to shift most of my voiceover recording to the middle of the night when it's not quite so hot, and I can shut my door and window without baking myself to death. That said, the last couple of days here have been rainy and super nice. Ratto said, "Are you an engineer? Because some of your answers sound a lot engineer-like." I'm not an engineer, but I choose to take that as a compliment. Though my first reaction was, what, like the engineer from Team Fortress 2? Haha. Nope. Erecting a dispenser. Nope, I'm not an engineer. I don't have any qualifications like that. Maybe I just have an engineering personality or something. The big boy said, "Do you think scale models can be called art?" Well, yeah. Art is a super wide category. When you search Wikipedia for art, the first line is, "Art is a diverse range of human activities in creating visual, auditory, or performing artifacts, artworks, expressing the author's imaginative or technical skill." I don't see why scale models wouldn't fit into that. Of course, there's always going to be those pretentious elitist wankers that will say things like, "Ooh, only I get to determine what is and isn't art." But does anybody really care what they think? Maybe there's some distinction between fine art or whatever, but it's an artistic endeavour no matter what your teacher or whoever thinks. Most modelers don't go around saying, "Ooh, look at the art I made, it's a visual representation of the KV2, etc. Because that sounds a bit daft, but it's still art, in my opinion anyway. Ducking Tanker said, "So I'm being questioned now. How do I shift the blame to the dog?" I mean, there's a picture right there, you're probably humped, and you probably can't shift the blame to the dog now. Maybe try to pin it on the humans. They irresponsibly served you a pint. They probably shouldn't have done that. Good luck. On last week's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Mosh asked about yellow decals, and Rubsalot has kindly provided a link to some from the Plastic Soldier Company. I'll paste that link into the description below. Thanks for that, Rubsalot. Zeljacko Resnavoch, who I'm assuming is the same Zeljacko from Discord, said, "Is the Australian PM a wallaby?" No, the Australian PM is an actual human, but I think a wallaby would be a better choice. I don't know what a wallaby's policies would be, but they can't be that bad, and it would be nice to have an adorable PM just once. Top Bunk Productions said, "As I'm being sent to the Derptopian Penal Battalion for that joke alone, I must ask, have you heard of Trumpeter's 1/72nd scale IS-7 kit? It has very few parts for a trumpeter kit and even has single-piece tracks." I haven't heard of that, but the single-piece tracks appeal to me, especially if they're nice and detailed. The IS-7 isn't one of my favourite tanks, but it is an interesting one, so I might keep an eye out for that. Pug said, "You should try a game called Easy Red." I checked it out. It looks like it could be fun. It doesn't look like the fanciest game, and it's probably not trying to be the fanciest, but it looks okay. It's on itch.io and it's free, so you can't expect too much there, but because of that, there's not really much risk in trying it out. From what I can see though, it's single player, and apparently multiplayer is coming soon. It looks like the sort of game that would be more fun to play with your friends. The sort that I would like to try playing with Barnaby, and Danny would probably enjoy too. It might not be as fun by myself, but I guess the same could be said about most games. It's worth checking out though. I'll include a link in the description if anybody else wants to give it a try as well. Kieran Keith said, "You need to try Iron Brew if you can find it. Don't know if it exports outside the UK. They do a sugar-free version if you can find it." I have heard of Iron Brew, and I like the spelling. Iron Brew. That's not even funny, I probably won't include that. I think you might actually be able to get Iron Brew in supermarkets here. Not sure. I've never tried it, so maybe I should. Trying new things is good after all. Fog of War agrees with me in that Australia has its issues, and says that I would add crappy NBN, National Broadband Network for you non-Australians. If I had to pick favourite overseas destinations, Holland and Singapore would top my list. Do you have any favourites? Given you live in Queensland, have you visited the Australian Armour and Artillery Museum? I went in January. Lots of armoured fun times. P.S. My nephews came to visit last week and we played a few games of tanks. Tanks being capitalised makes me think it should be shouted. We played a few games of tanks! They wouldn't believe I was mentioned occasionally until I showed them some back catalogue Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. Now they think I'm an internet god. Thanks for the net cred. They also like the PUBG gameplay videos in the background. I would definitely agree about the NBN. I got lucky and we had fibre installed here, and it was very early in the rollout, so they hadn't changed their mind and said, "No, you can have copper instead. Copper is the way of the future." I try not to follow the news, so I'm not entirely up to date on what they're doing with the NBN now, but it's probably not good, because our country is run by old Luddites who just can't imagine the internet as useful to our country's future. Why use new fancy technology when ancient copper cabling can load your email in just a few minutes just fine? Nobody uses the internet for anything important anyway. Why, if you want to know what's going on in the world, just go to your local corner store and pick up a nice, trustworthy newspaper. Overseas places. I think England and Canada would be my top choices, mostly for the Bovington Tank Museum in England, and so I could visit my friends in both countries, which seems like as good a reason as any to me. I've not yet been to the Armour and Artillery Museum, but I do plan to go. I think they had their own almost Tank Fest-like event a few weeks ago that seemed like it would have been good to go to. I just didn't find out about it in time. I do plan to go there sometime. Cairns is still pretty far from Brisbane, so it'll take at least a little bit of planning. It looks like they've got a lot of great stuff there and they are growing. I will try to get there pretty soon, and I will make a video when I finally do get my ass up there. Also, I'm glad you now have your net cred with your nephews. It's good to be an internet god. Or something like that. And finally, Jeff Dave said, "Is it true that you have a new video series planned where you go into the streets wearing just an oversized nappy and ask women of childbearing age to pat you on the back? I understand it is to be called Burp a Herbert Erpaderp." Hey, you stay out of my big book of plans. Maybe I should lock that thing away instead of leaving it out for all to see. Well, with the news of my secret new series being, "It's been cancelled." What do you mean it's being cancelled? Cancelled. Well, now I need to think of something else. At any rate, Ask a Herbert Erpaderp is over for the week. As always, feel free to ask any questions you want in the comment section below, or on Discord, or wherever I'll see them. Maybe don't hire a billboard in the city or anything like that though. If you haven't already, it sure would be nice of you to subscribe to me here on YouTube, follow me on social media, or watch me stream on Twitch, or all three of those things. And if you really like the things I do, please consider helping to support the channel over at patreon.com/HerbertErpaderp. That would be very good. Check the links in the description for further information. I shall return soon, so until then, happy whatever it is you're doing, and thanks for watching. Farewell.